So John, let me hit you with this, okay? And yes, we're both on the construction site. Let me hit you with this, okay? So there's a reason I'm as late as I am today, okay? And you don't know why. And yes, I was a little late, but I had to come and I had to present this to you, and it
What
blew
you got?
me
What you
away,
got?
okay? It surprised the hell out of me. Now, you may know what I'm talking about when I show you this, right? But I needed to show this to you without you having any kind of basis of what the hell is this guy, what is he talking about? No basis of that at all.
What do we got? What do we
Gotta
got
tell
here?
you, this thing is something special. Check this out. So
Hmm.
what you are looking at right now, obviously you're looking at the speeds and feeds of my machine or whatever, right? But the question you have to ask yourself is, in what context are you looking at this? And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me tell you, this is footage of
Oh, that's RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Oh yeah, I recognize the arm right away. How?
Rogue City RoboCop. Now this I don't want to, like, I first wanted to give you the start of it, but I changed my mind because oddly enough, if you are a child of a certain age demographic,
Right
you
here.
know RoboCop.
Right here.
You
I
know
loved,
RoboCop.
dude. I love RoboCop. I loved them.
When
as
I
a,
say
as a
I'd
kid.
buy that for $1, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Like, all that, right? Like, and this is so faithful to the source material, bro.
Dude, aren't these
Like,
the same people that made that Terminator game that was pretty good too? Nacon
bro,
or something like that?
yes, I have to say, I expected this to be, flash in the pan. Oh, you get your little, RoboCop fix or whatever. I am blown away, ladies and gentlemen. I am
Wow.
blown away. I kid you not. Is it like the next coming of whatever? No. Let's be clear. This is basically if they said, you know what? The first RoboCop movie was great. The second RoboCop movie was okay. But now let's make the third RoboCop movie, but let's make it a game, right? And they used this modern sensibilities of game making, right? But the game is still RoboCop, still old school, right? Still, you're walking around, dead or alive, you're coming with me, and all of that, right? Like, but they are so faithful to the source material. The characters look the same. Some of them even talk. The actor that plays Murphy is the same voice actor
that's
that does
cool.
this.
That's cool. And they
Bro,
got and they got the same RoboCop guy, right? It's the same actor.
The same RoboCop guy. The same.
That's huge.
Actor.
That's huge right there, because for me the franchise fell off when he wasn't there anymore. That's it. The franchise was done.
It was done. Yes. I gotta tell you, I am blown away by this game. I'm like, again, don't get me wrong. We're not talking game of the year caliber. We're not talking about any of that, right? But the fact that somebody, like, what was it, 20 some odd years from between this starting, decided to go back and is so faithful to the source material, so much so that 8-year-old me, who definitely had no business watching this movie, is tickled freaking pink watching this. I'm just like, oh my God, I remember every piece of this.
Well, remember that in part 1, the villain of the movie was the dad from that 70s show, right?
Absolutely.
the one that's always dumbass.
yes, absolutely.
Dude, these movies are awesome. If you haven't watched RoboCop, you really are doing yourself a disservice, because this is some 80s goodness. It's like it's not as good or refined as a Terminator franchise with James Cameron, but the whole Murphy and his stroke, he's part machine, part man still, is always has always fascinated me. That's always been something about like the franchise that's really cool. So the one thing I will say that I'm kind of happy that these folks are bringing to the table is, like you said, that it does look like a faithful recreation of it. It's not like a cheap cash in. You know what I'm saying?
See, to that extent, all right. To that extent, what I mean by it's not a cheap cash in, I expect RoboCop shooting, rootin' tootin', walking around. I expect that, and that's what you get here. But what I didn't expect was RoboCop the detective. I didn't expect, hey, I'm a law-abiding cop, so I'm gonna like get in line and take the problems of the people. Oh, my dog did this. Oh, my neighbor said that, and it's all in here. Like, There's a real story.
Oh,
Look at her.
Look, Murphy blowing the gum. She used to in the movie. I'm telling you, that's awesome.
They have done so well here. It's not even the shooting and stuff. It's everything else that they have done.
That's awesome. That's dude. I'm assuming that you're playing this through the Steam Next Fest. Is that how you're?
I was about to say that will lead into our pro tip of the week. We'll just start that off the bat. And before we get there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to welcome you to the Gamers Playground, the playground that we have not been playing in some time because, life happens and vacations and, we need to take a little bit of a respite and move away for a while and then, reevaluate the fact that we love coming here and talking games with everybody, talking games with you. And frankly, let me be real with y'all. This is an excuse for me to catch up with my brother, the man who I have not gotten a chance to speak with in a little bit, Mr. El Caliente himself. What's going on, Mr. John Wolf? How you doing?
The Latino heat is back, guys. Yeah, so we missed you guys a lot. Sorry about missing the last 2 weeks. Kind of life got in the way there. Had a death in the family. My abuelita passed away last week, so it's
condolences, sir. Condolences.
Thank you. It's been it's been a rough week and week and a half, couple of weeks, but we're back, guys. That's what's important now. So let's get into it. Okay, we got a lot of good topics today. We got some a little VR machine that I think is coming soon, right? Should be delivered to your doorstep soon. And we're going to be talking about some FSR 3.0 that I have so many questions to ask you because I did like a deep dive on videos and stuff this past weekend. So I really want to ask you about a bunch of stuff and what that's going to mean like for me and any AMD owners.
Well, but you know what? Let us start this thing. As I said, as you presented, we do have something to share, like the pro tip of the week, and I think I'll lead that first because, as you pointed out, I got a chance to play this, and I saw who was this? I saw Ninja Squirrel 30 in the chat, and salute to you. He was like, "I'll buy that for $1." And let me tell you, sir, you don't have to pay a red cent right now because it is all part of the Next Fest right now. So that's our pro tip of the week. If you are and if you are part of the X.com. Mama call him Twitter. I'm gonna call him Twitter. If you're part of Twitter, you probably heard or saw my post on there. If you are a gamer or if you are a PCMR or PCMR adjacent, my handheld brethren, this is your opportunity. Jump in there. There are lots and lots of demos, like crazy amounts of demos, including right there,
RoboCop,
Rogue City. And I gotta tell you, I am so I wasn't ready to hit the buy button. Now I'm ready to hit that damn buy button.
I was gonna buy regardless because, like I said, one of my favorite games growing up, Kay, and I don't know if you played this. You remember RoboCop versus Terminator on the SNES?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Many hours, many rentals through Blockbuster for that game. I completely wasted that disc. like the saliva in that thing was all me, just blowing on the disc. Okay, pause. Okay, pause. Right. So I had that in my cart. I'm gonna get that day one through cdkeys.com, of course, and I'm gonna definitely pick that up because even the gameplay that you showed me, I was already sold on it, but now hearing your praise and hearing that it's a faithful recreation, I'm there day one.
Born of a certain age, this franchise well, and I'm telling you, this is a faithful recreation, and you should check it out. Oh, and I saw you, Ninja Squirrel. He says, "No PC for me, Master Series X race." Yep. I feel you, sir.
That's okay. This is the gamers
to find yourself with a handheld device. Of any reproach, maybe a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally or any of those things, the water is fine. Join us. Believe it or not, last year's Next Fest was how I was able to play Planet of Lana many, many months early, right?
Because that's pretty cool.
They have these awesome demos over here, and I'm sure a lot of these games. I'm looking at you there, Ghost Runner 2, right? A lot of these games will eventually make it to the console, but if you have an opportunity to, hey,
you know what I tried today. Yeah. You know what I tried through the Next Fest? I tried The Last Faith. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that, and I see Mr. Joanna Dark salute to you, sir. He put it in the chat as well.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I played like through the demo. I died probably like a quarter way in because it hits you up with some Castlevania gameplay. So it's a mixture of Metroidvania mixed with a little bit of Souls-like. So the difficulty being in the Souls-like, that if you pass away, you do start from a checkpoint, and then you can pick up your essence, in other words. So the difficulty is definitely up there, but the gameplay,
I like the art style.
The art style was pretty cool. You can choose between, I think I saw 4 characters, and as you can see there's fatalities and stuff, that you can do. There's brutalities or whatever you want to call them. And dude, it looks pretty sick. It looks like they as you can see, some sick power-ups. I was able to get one power-up where like all of a sudden I was shooting like a holy beam out of my right arm. So it was pretty good, but let me tell you, difficulty's up there. I kept on dying in this. Yeah, I kept on dying in this one part, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait to pick this up on sale because I definitely want it, and then that way I don't want to beat this part in a demo. I want to wait for my full playthrough.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool, bro. What else you know what? Before we continue, anybody in the chat, if you happen to be part of the Next Fest, because or you've partaken in the Next Fest, I should say, let me ask you to put your favorite thing, the thing that you've been playing, put it in the chat. Why? Because there's a lot of games out there, and I'm not sure I'll be able to play them all. I'm not sure I'll be able to get a wind of all of them. So hey, maybe I'll catch this on the replay, and I'll download the game that you saw.
You know what I saw? You know what I saw in there too for Mr. Joanna Dark? I saw some dating simulators in there. Okay, all right. I saw those those adult games. I saw a bunch of them. So Mr. Joanna Dark, there you go.
Ninja Squirrel 30. He says, I got to get back to Forza Motorsport. Have a good show, guys. Salute to you, sir. I appreciate you for coming checking us out. And because you said that, on your way out, I will regale you with some of my Forza Motorsport footage. And this is also PC footage. So there you go.
Nice.
Have you had a chance to try this out, sir?
No, I didn't have a chance to play it because I didn't justify the $30-something to get the early access for myself. So I'm gonna wait for the traditional, Game Pass release, and then I'll be able to check it out on, I'll be checking out on the Series X to see how that looks, because I've heard a lot of good things about how it looks on console. And of course, I gotta put the Asus ROG Ally through its paces, and 4070, I'm sure it's gonna be just fine.
It's gonna shine. Absolutely. Yep. This is where I will put the obligatory thank you to my homie, my partner, my buddy, who hooked me up with a code. I won't say who that is in case they don't want themselves be outed, but you know who you are, and I appreciate you.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I got a code, and that's why I was able to give it a try early. I got to tell you, I am a Forza Horizon guy, as most people are Horizon guys. This game is something else. I'm really digging it. It's really cool. There's, and you've heard the streets, you've heard it, people talking about, oh, it's not as beautiful, or it's not this, or it's this, or it's that. There are some decisions that they've made that if you're a hardcore Forza player, a Forza sim player, you might not like. And I may agree with you on that, right? But by and large, I will be playing this more than I thought I would be. It's quite cool. It helps you get better. It taps into my OCD brain that I'm like, oh, I can do this a little better. I could do this a little bit, and it runs beautifully. So
I've heard a few things about it. Okay, and besides the whole Twitter fanboy back and forth that I've seen here and there about Gran Turismo 7 and Forza, which are both great games. I mean, if you don't have to choose one or the other, get both. But the one thing that I will tell you is that, is it true that I keep on hearing the word being thrown around, car PG? Is that something that you would agree with?
Yes, and that is to its detriment, depending on who you talk to. Right?
Okay.
So for me, I don't have that full extent experience playing that sim to its fullest extent, meaning I don't spend time getting sweaty with my cars and getting all in depth with the tuning and all of that, right? I'm the guy who will just hit auto tune and move on, which is
me too
in the sim community, right?
Yeah, me too. I'll download somebody's build or something.
Exactly. But what they've done now, and I've heard it explained in a very detrimental fashion, and I kind of agree with that. Where they have, it's a car PG in that you gain XP while using it. You know how it works. You know how that works, right? You need to stop that. You need to stop. What is wrong with you, sir? I will actually show you. I can show you Mario Kart. Is he wrong? He is wrong. I can show you Mario Kart 8 with ray tracing, something you've never seen before. You can mod that on a PC build.
Don't do that to him, dude.
Don't start that.
His Switch OLED will blow up if you even say that near it.
Will just like explode in his hands. No, no, but so the thing with Forza that I think that people are complaining about is because it's now relying on the systems, the RPG systems, right? It will take you a lot of time per car to get it to a level where you can be the expert that you are, right? Back in the day, they left the leveling to your character, and that's it, right? So your character will level up to a certain level, and when you get there, you're then able to manipulate the cars as you see fit because it's your level that determines it, right? Now they have the level of the person, the gamer, and also the level of each car they acquire, right? So it becomes a big grind, far bigger than it used to be. Because let's say you're a sweaty sim racer, right? And you have this cool suspension you want to test out. You whip out car A, you test it out. You want to whip out car B. Pause.
Double pause on that
one. You want to test it out on the second one. You must make sure both cars are at the same level in order to make that same comparison. Right. So let's say it's like level 40. You got to drive for hours and hours to get this car to level 40 to be able to test your suspension theory, and then get the other car to level 40 in order to, and do that over and over again for every single car.
So it's a grind. It's a grind, in other words.
Way much of a grind. Yes. But on the flip, for those of us like me who may not necessarily be so well versed in how this game plays, normally the way they've set it up, they don't penalize you too much for staying in the guidelines, right? You know how you can have everything assisted, right? Little by little, as you're winning races, they go, you seem like you're better than that. Maybe you remove this assist. Don't worry. Whether you add it or you remove it, it won't change your score. It won't change your achievements. It won't change anything. It may give you just a little bit of a bonus at the end if you take it off, right?
So you actually get challenged to take off the training wheels. Like it actually encourages you.
They incentivize you to take off the training wheels little by little. And I'm just like, hey, I can do this. I thought I couldn't do this. I might be able to do this. And I take
so turn 10 is has channeled their inner souls. Like they are the souls like of racing games now. It sounds like. Okay.
So it seems, sir. So it seems. So while I won't tell you that I'll be playing this game, in a sweaty fashion, as some do, I will tell you that if you haven't tried it before and you are a Game Pass subscriber, as a lot of us are, it's worth your attempt. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty fun.
Absolutely.
The graphics are amazing. It's good.
There you go. Now that's what let me pick your brain with that a little bit, right? Because as you know, we kept on hearing over the years that this is going to be the first real next gen kind of like racing game to be on the market, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. So it sounds to me from everything that I've heard, reviews, and even yourself speaking right now, it sounds like they achieved that they completely did an overhaul on the engine and on the driving and all that good stuff. And I even listened to Fuzzy that, he's our resident car simulator.
I know nothing. I'm a walker compared to that man. What are you talking
about? No. Fuzzy, when it comes to this stuff, Fuzzy's your go-to here.
Absolutely.
But let's talk to me a little bit about the technicalities, about like the graphics, about this ray tracing that's in the game, because that's the stuff that you'll kind of be well versed in.
Sure.
Were they able? This is what I want to know, in your opinion. Is this the game that tells you that the Xbox Series X is the world's most powerful console?
It will be eventually. It isn't now. And what I mean by that is you can tell that there's a solid foundation, right? In certain comparisons, and I know the comparisons are weak and people do them all the time, but they compare them to obviously to GT7, right? And in certain comparisons, the graphical output, the fidelity, the time of day, because they've opted for, instead of baked lighting, they're doing real-time lighting, right? They're doing global illumination, not real time, but global illumination. So it's by the time of day, right? Okay. So it's not determinative. Oh, you're on this race, so now you're magically going to be racing at night. No, you race at night when it's nighttime. You race during the day when it's daytime, and it'll cycle through the day. It's accelerated so you can get nighttime and daytime, relatively fast, but it's still a normal cycle. It's not your normal, right? And because of that, it unfortunately also catches, because I was talking to Red Tree, and salute to Red Tree and Web Dave. They had me on the Gamers Console yesterday.
Great guys. Great guys.
Yes, absolutely. And those who know, Red Tree is from the TV show background, TV and movies background. So first thing he says, oh yeah, absolutely. Why? Because during the time of day that you shoot gives you different lighting conditions, right? So if you'll notice, most movies and TVs never shoot at noon because it makes everybody look like zombies. It puts the light right on you, and it doesn't shadow well and all of that. And if you go for real time, some moments in time of the day, it will do that because that's what days look like,
right?
Cast and right.
So yeah, it's a real representation.
That's right. So if you compare that to what always exists in sim racers or in racers in general, which is the best time of day, right when the sun is kissing the sea, you know what I mean, right? Because that's what they always represent in these games, right? When you see a normal day represented, sometimes you go, "Ooh, that sucks. That's a little, it doesn't look right." And that's where your off comparisons come in, right? But when you compare them like for like in the time in the right conditions, oh yeah, that game is.
Yeah, because I've seen the videos I've seen on Twitter X is like, for example, I saw one of like the front view where the car hood is with the rain hitting it, and then the road being wet and the pavement and everything looked excellent. Fantastic. But then I did see another video where, I didn't really take it serious because it was someone trying to, I guess, make fun of the game. And so I didn't take their take really serious, but there was like a lot of light shining if you were playing in that, in that driver view there, you could barely see the road where you were going. Now, how realistic that is, I don't know. I don't know if that's what they were going for. I don't know if that's the artistic vision that, hey, we're going to make this thing a real simulator. And if the sun is there, you got to figure it out, get good. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's what real drivers deal with in those conditions, right? And that's what a simulator is about. But sometimes that doesn't represent best graphically.
Yeah,
it just doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So let me tackle this question that the man Ty Talks, great member of the community, has posted. Very interesting question. He says, as the years go by and the current consoles become more obsolete, will we see Xbox Series X surpass the PS5 graphically as developers are able to pull more from it due to its power? Super interesting question. Now,
you go first. I'll tackle it after.
In a bubble, right, where the PS5 stays exactly what you know today, and the Series X and S stay exactly as you know them today, I will say yes to that, right? Why? Because we have ABK coming. Now, ABK is a big factor in that equation. Why am I bringing that into the equation? Because for a long time up until now, the Series X and S have had more horsepower in certain aspects than the PS5, depending on what you're looking at, CPU and GPU depending, right? But the developers have not had any incentive to use it. When presumably, and this is my hypothesis, when ABK becomes a factor in the equation, and now all of a sudden you have so many eyeballs, ABK eyeballs, Activision eyeballs looking at this platform, you can't help but use the actual throughput of this platform. Because funny enough, the best thing about ABK, oddly enough, is they're also one of the few in the team to be able to create 120 frames games on Series S with COD, right? So you can't then look at the biggest selling game, which also happens to then be a first party, right? And then go, oh yeah, we're just still gonna just squirt this port out real quick that's not as good as the other, right?
Pause.
But I say that in a bubble. Pause. Yeah. I say that in a bubble, right? There's still a lot of convincing to be done of the developer and the consumer, right? Just because they own ABK doesn't mean all of a sudden their pool becomes the biggest overnight, right? Also, do not talk smack about PS5 because they out here. Those rumors are suggesting that they see they see the forest for the trees, and they see that this is eventually coming. So they're shoring up their hardware to give you far more hardware, so they can go, our PS5 ain't behind. Look at the Pro. Mm-hmm. They're already in that mode, right? Obviously, all that is conjecture because it hasn't been officially announced yet. But based on what we're seeing in the rumor and speculation town, what I'm saying, they also see happening, and they're shoring up their hardware for that eventuality where Xbox becomes more of a player, and hey, developers have to contend with that hardware now, right? In a world, because look at Series X, right? In a world where you are not the biggest pool, right? Series X is still okay because it's got overhead, right? So now, in a world where PlayStation is no longer the biggest pool, they need the overhead in order to account for maybe them not being the reference design anymore. So what happens? Pro shows up real quick. Obviously, rumor and speculation for me, but that's how I'm seeing it potentially fall out, right? If they don't change anything, if the PS5 stays PS5 status quo until the end of the gen, right? And Xbox stays Xbox just as this is until the end of the gen, and all that changes is ABK gets in the mix, and all of a sudden people start taking Xbox more seriously. Yeah, I can see Xbox outperform PlayStation on like for like games. Yes, in a far more frequent capacity. Yes.
Okay.
What do you think?
So sir? I'll take it from a different angle for Tay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if anything, good came out of this whole ABK acquisition stuff for the last 2 years, is that we have had an interesting look at the industry from a different perspective and through a different lens, because it was always rumor, all these things that the community we would talk amongst ourselves. It was only rumor and speculation. Nothing was confirmed until leaked documents started showing, emails, etc., the hearing, etc., etc. I think that as long as PlayStation is the market leader with consoles, they are going to dominate when it comes to parity. They're going to make sure that no Xbox games that come out on the same system, on both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, the Xbox is not going to outshine it by except for a few moments where you might see a couple of frame rate advantages for the Xbox, or a little bit of a resolution bump.
I will push back only a little bit. You know why?
Why is that?
Because you're talking about the PlayStation of old.
And I was going to get there.
PlayStation people are in positions of power right now.
I was going to
know who's going to be in a position of power.
I was going to get there. I was going to get there.
Go ahead. Yes.
It's a PC show, so I don't want to turn it into like the
Xbox
hour.
That's right.
But I do firmly believe that that these PlayStation practices, because that's what they are. Look, some people are going to call them dirty tactics. Some people are going to call them Bill Belichick tactics, etc.
Don't say that, man. I'm from New England. Don't do that.
Hey man, I'm just saying, disinflating the ball.
You get beat all the time.
Hey man,
it's unfair. Okay.
Listen. It's
hashtag get good.
Look, they still had to play the game, so I still give them props. But still, those tactics of disinflating the ball, recording practices.
God, here we go.
Okay, turning off microphones. Okay, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that PlayStation does. We know now as a fact. This is not an opinion anymore. We know that they use these types of tactics to have a competitive advantage. Now, that's what it is. It's a competitive advantage. You can't fault them for it. I mean, they're doing what they need to do, but it kind of puts Xbox in a tough place where now it's not. They can't leave it up to third party like we've always said. Kate, we need them. And their studios and all of the two publishers that they have purchased, they are the ones that need to make these boxes shine. And which for the most part, I think they will. And we're starting to see some of that, some of the fruit of that labor.
And I don't disagree with you at all in that, right? And Lucius Augustus makes a very good point in the chat. He says, as long as PlayStation is the market leader, they're never Xbox doesn't matter the hardware. Xbox will never be able to dominate. And I agree by and large with that, right? My contention is, I agree. My contention is when the biggest games are in Xbox and you have no choice but to treat Xbox as a bigger powerhouse than you have before in the past, when they're releasing 6, 8, 10 first-party games per year, it becomes a more competitive conversation. It's not they're getting blown out to the point where some people don't even think about them anymore, right? When every exclusive that used to be a Japanese exclusive that was on PlayStation is now also on Xbox, all those, high positions that PlayStation could take is no longer a factor in the equation. And because of that, with the exception of the money hats, which will still happen because we know that's what Sony does, right? Because of that, I don't foresee a normal developer going, Xbox, they won't give as short shrift as they do now, right?
Understood.
And in doing so, you can
understand
that there be more competitive landscape, right?
Yeah, so I understand. I understand what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying from that perspective. The only thing is what's a little frustrating to even have this conversation because it stinks, right? Because in the world of PC, if right now, let's say that you were the owner of a 2080, and or if that even exists, I might be making up graphic cards here, or a 3050, right? And let's say
cards. Go ahead.
and let's say that I was to purchase an AMD, one of their latest graphic cards that has more horsepower than yours. My games, for the most part, will run significantly better than you with your older graphics cards, right? Because the power's there, so I'm able to utilize that. So from a PC perspective, it's a little frustrating to think about the consoles this way, that the Series X is being held back a little bit by not only development time, but also because of deals like this. Because if we ever live in a world where Nvidia now all of a sudden says, hey, Starfield, and I know AMD has a deal with Starfield, but let's say that Nvidia goes to Bethesda and says, hey, we can't have Starfield run better than our lowest graphics card, than like a 3080. It can't run any better than that on the AMD side. We're going to be in a world of trouble. So I really do hope that that doesn't bleed over to the PC space, which I don't think it will. I don't think that that's ever going to happen, because in the PC market, you buy new graphics cards for more power. I mean, that would be kind of an oxymoron, right? So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
So I'll push back on a small bit, and that's not even a pushback, but just to kind of qualify that I believe that the next gen for PC, right? Because whenever you talk gens, you're talking console. The next gen for PC will be more complex world. It will be more complex CPU computation, right? So it won't just live in the world where you put a new graphics card in and now you're off to the races. There's diminishing returns of graphic fidelity. You will get great graphics. They are there. But right now, what makes real next gen isn't the complicated world of Cyberpunk. You can see that all the time. What makes next gen more next gen is that in that huge complex buildings of Cyberpunk, you can open every door. You can go to every apartment. Everybody lives there. There are people doing different things in every single, right? That's all the CPU stuff. So at some point, the next gen stuff will be more in that world where the CPU matters more than the GPU. That matters more, but the CPU will get more of a workout than you will the GPU side. And I think in that world, consoles might also be able to compete there, right? We don't know, right? It's always about the lowest common denominator. Look at the Series S today. People always say, it's holding gaming back. It has a more powerful GPU processor-wise, like computation-wise, than the PS5, Series S, right? I think it's maybe clocked down one or two, but it's still very much performant. Why? Because
they're going to clip you. They're coming after you for saying that. It's over.
And why do they say that? Because the engineers knew that, hey, CPU complexity cannot be downscaled, but GPU complexity can be up and downscaled. So we're giving you a 1080p, sometimes 1440p box. So we'll give you a lesser performant GPU, but the CPU still has to be able to perform all those high computational things. So still the CPU has to be performant.
All that's those next gen stuff, the next gen stuff.
Exactly, right? That's why the Series S, that's why I'm still in the camp that they have not used it to its fullest fruition, because every time they use the Series S right now, it's always in service of brute forcing, which it's not a brute force box. So obviously it's going to look crappy, But all right. Let us move forward.
Let me put a bookmark. Let me put a bookmark on the conversation and on Forza. So have you played it on the Xbox and the PC, or just the PC?
I have played it only on the PC. Well, no. I have played it on the Series X for about 30 minutes. It looks it's there, right? It's just, it's there. It's absolutely, yeah, the lighting conditions. And the reason why I say it's not the latest and the greatest is because you can tell that this is a foundation and they're going to build on it.
Yeah,
right? They didn't put a number on it. There's going to be a lot more added to it. Right now it's slim pickings a little bit as far as cars and all of that. They don't throw the gamut at you like they usually do. But, for someone like me who will just revisit it from time to time, it is top notch. Good
yeah,
stuff.
they're gonna Mario Kart it. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Mr. John Dark would appreciate that.
If it sells even remotely as good as Mario Kart, it will be a huge success because that game is selling like gangbusters. That game was on the Wii U, ladies and gentlemen. The Wii U.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I think I bought that game like 4 times in my lifetime.
Yeah, and I still keep buying because some kids want it. But you know what?
Exactly.
Let us move on because I think you wanted to talk about FSR, right?
Yep, I do.
And why don't you start us off and give me some of your initial thoughts, because I know, you and I haven't had a chance to really chop it up together and really dig deep into what your thoughts are on these things. I'm sure people have heard by now, there have been FSR3 has been added to the mix. What do you call it? XES, or I think that's what they call it, XES, which is the Intel variant, the ARC. The Intel variant is also out there, also doing interesting different things. Now they have frame generation, which is a really cool, interesting technology that NVIDIA was always doing, and now it looks like AMD is also following suit. By the way, a quick aside: I played frame generation on Jedi Survivor, and there was a lot of stutters. It was running at like 200 frames per second, but there were a lot of stutters. So we're going to talk about that. But top of the dome, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Okay, so I actually have a lot because I as soon as I started like looking, this is really the only thing that I did a deep dive on during the last couple of weeks because of what was going on. But so I know that FSR 3.0 officially launched with 2 titles in the past couple of weeks. We have Immortals of Aveum, which desperately needed it because that game was just kicking graphics cards asses and the consoles as well. So desperately needed it. And then for Spoken. Okay, so those are the two games that I know that official support. Those are the 2 games, right, for the 3.0 stuff. Now, have you seen any performance index on that? Because there's more of this FSR stuff that I want to ask you about. So I saw a video where the frameworks were going up to 30-40% on these titles, okay? And it was pretty impressive. The only thing that they said that needs an update here and there is that they could not initiate a VRR while they had FSR 3.0. So that's something that will probably come in an update later down the line. Or, people are just going to do it themselves because you know how the PC space is, that they just figure it out for themselves.
VSync is a problem of it.
Yep, and VSync is a problem. But overall, all in all, it's a good start. People are very pleased. There were 4090 owners playing Immortals of Aveum, I think, at 4K 120, et cetera, et cetera. So overall, it looks like it's going to be a big hit for AMD. I don't know what type of needle mover that's going to be in the graphics card space, but I will tell you that I'm very excited at their aggressiveness with FSR 3.0. I think that their aggressive stance here is a good one, where they have basically come out and say, listen, we don't care if you own NVIDIA, Intel, or AMD, you can use FSR 3.0. I think that is huge for them to do that, and something that kind of differentiates it.
Hardware agnostic, performance, which is good. Yeah, I do agree with you. Keep going. Yeah,
I think that is very good and very much needed in this much saturated predator kind of shark infested waters called AMD's ocean when it comes to graphics cards. Okay, so I think that any little bit of resistance to NVIDIA is always a good thing. And here's the part. So first, tell me a little bit about what you've seen of the FSR 3.0 with these 2 games only, and then I'm going to get into the second half of what it means for me with my current devices that I have.
Okay. So no, I think it's exciting times, right? It's always interesting in these battles and in these back and forths, because you always have the deluxe edition, right, which is the high powered, high class thing that everybody's looking at, and then you have the competitor that brings it to the normal man, right? And we'll talk about VR in a little bit, right? And AR, actually, I should actually say, because the same example shows up there, right? Apple shows you the Vision Pro, this insanely performant, 3,000 whatever dollar thing, and then Meta / Facebook goes, oh, that's nice, here's something everyone else can afford, right? Same exact scenario is happening here, where Nvidia is going, look, you wanna have the ability to upscale, you need dedicated hardware, you need, to be able to hit those frame rates. So take this card year after year after year, and at these very high prices. And then and AMD goes, well, you know what? They can do that, and now we'll be hardware agnostic, and we'll do that. Now, when you do that, there always come trade-offs. The question is, how much of a trade-off is there, and if the trade-off is enough to where it's not worth the money. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's not, then it becomes useful, right? I always use the Netflix example, right? Netflix gives you 4K. It gives you 4K. That's right. Let's say it together. 4K.
4K. But right? but that 4K is good enough for the masses.
Thank you. Exactly. So if you care about the tiny pixel imperfections that you can tell, you can always grab the Blu-ray, right? But most people don't care about that. Same scenario presents here with FSR, right? If you really care and you look, because these upscaling techniques, they look great in shots, and more often than not, you'll see shots. And salute to the gentleman who put this together, Benchmark for Gamers. I will put the link in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. They did the great work. We're just showing it off. So Benchmark for Gamers, thank you so much for allowing us to do that. I'll put that in there. And if they don't allow us to, then I'll remove it. It is what it is. But in motion is where it matters, right? DLSS and FSR really, really come together. The devil is in the motion details. And so far, every time you see the motion details, right, DLSS 3 always beats it, because FSR has very much artifacting. There's a lot of artifacting that happens there, right? And DLSS has become better and better, obviously dedicated hardware and all of that, right? But the cool part about all of this is, as they mature, FSR 1 was trash. Let's just be real with it. But we were excited about it because it was a new world and it was hardware agnostic. FSR 2 got better, still hardware agnostic. Now going FSR 3, right? And they're adding their variant of frame generation to the mix. That's where the excitement lies. Now, even in that, when you use it, and I've used it on a few of these titles, it's so far catch as catch can, right? So far, it's not ready for prime time. It's not ready to do battle with the best that DLSS and the best that NVIDIA can offer. But it's, again, hardware agnostic. It's getting better. It's getting better. In the long run, you want FSR to succeed more than you want DLSS to succeed, because with the succeeding of DLSS, it just means your wallet getting more and more abused, right? Because that's what NVIDIA will keep doing to you. But as AMD matures their process and gets better and better, you get to keep your hardware longer and benefit from all these things, right?
But let me ask you this. So with what you said, is this when we're talking about, let's say that I'm using FSR 3.0 on Forspoken, right? And I have whatever card, because it doesn't really matter. That's the cool thing about this. And this artifacting that you're talking about,
really quickly,
sure.
Let me address this. What is it? Calorie says Netflix 4K is only available on the most expensive options if you get the basic plan at 720p or 1080p maximum. Yes, I know this, but even the top of the line highest option is 4K.
No, you got to put up the fingers. You got to put up the fingers. 4K.
Not the real 4K, right? Just like on Netflix, on YouTube, where you can just hit the 4K button right now and you'll get 4K. Well, you'll get 1080p from us, but there are 4K options available. Even they, at that high fidelity, isn't that high. And you'll know that because take your favorite movie, watch it on Netflix in their 4K, and then watch the Blu-ray variant. it will blow you away how much you lose by watching it their way. But you don't know that because you don't normally see it. And it's
but
good
here's
enough.
the thing, and I'm glad you said that, which I mean, you're speaking facts, but let's take it back a few steps here. So
yes,
let's say that for your average consumer, right? I think that the most popular I think that the most popular graphics card at the moment I saw the other day was the 3060 currently. I think that I
wow.
think that the 20 series finally got dethroned there.
Okay.
So the 30, and somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I think I saw that somewhere. So the 3060 right now being the most popular graphics card on that through Steam, data.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that those people are gonna mind as long as their games are hitting, your wanted frames for Forspoken and Immortals of Avium. If they don't have to buy themselves a 40 series card, I think that they're perfectly fine with the with the sacrifice here and there. And for the most part, if you're not looking at Digital Foundry, and this is something, Ken, that I think that's very important for average consumers, because there's two types of conversations that always need to be had, right? There's a conversations for me and you, which we know about this stuff. I'm learning more and more as we go. Yep.
Yes.
And we're the type of people that we're paying attention to the pixels and stuff like that while we're playing for the most part. It's not going to kill us, but for the most part. But then you have this, like the masses, they're not going to notice the Digital Foundry stuff. And that's where I think that AMD really has a good opportunity here to get in the good graces, not really to take market share away from Nvidia, because I don't think that that's what this play is. I think that this play is to be in good graces with gamers so that gamers can trust them. You know what I'm saying? And I understand it's a business. They also have business incentive. But at the same time, I think that this goes a long way, because that excitement for me, Kay, I was super excited. And I'll tell you why, so that we can move on to the second part of this. Mm-hmm. It's what they talked about, how they're going to incorporate. They could have only released FSR 3.0 on the upcoming titles, like they said, which is going to be 50 or 60 titles when it's all said and done, right? No, they took it a step further here. They said, how about frame generation on thousands of games? Meaning that all your DX11 and DX12, which to me is kind of, if you're talking to me in another language, I really don't know what that means. How far back that generation goes, I have no idea. I'll like you to educate me there. But for me, if you're telling me that you just extended the life of the Asus ROG Ally and the 6870 and the 68T eGPU that I have, dude, you just won me over as a consumer big time. You got me in my good graces right now.
DX11, think of DX11 as PS4, Xbox One X, Xbox One, right?
Gotcha.
DX10 started before the Xbox One, but crept into half of the Xbox One and then switched to DX11 towards the later stage of the Xbox One, the series generation. You know what I mean? Like, so the 10 and 11 are right, like that's where you want. 12 is latest greatest. 12 is, that's where you're getting ray tracing. That's like real ray tracing. That's where you're getting your what do you call it? Unreal Engine 5 games, stuff like that, right? That's backboning on DX12. If you don't, if 12 is not really a hit, you're okay, because there's still not many games in that library. 10 and 11, that's where the sweet spot lives. That's where you're excited,
So let me ask you this. If, like, and in my mind, because this is the way that I know from the console world, when Xbox was awesome enough to do the FPS boost to hundreds of games that they did, let me ask you something. Is that kind of like what I need to expect here, where when this update gets released, I think that they said first quarter of 2024, I can go to the AMD dashboard, I can switch on a switch, and all of a sudden a DX11 game, like, I don't know, let's just say Devil May Cry DMC, something like that from the old generation, all of a sudden my frames are going to go up even more than what my graphics card can boost. Like, how does that, I'm kind of confused on that. What can I expect out of this?
So what it does, right? It uses different technologies to do it. And what you're seeing here is footage from Phantom Liberty, because yes, I'm about that Idris Elba life. Let's go. Game is amazing.
That looks awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
amazing.
saving.
Anyway.
I'm saving it because I'm on a project right now, which we'll talk about.
So. Oh yeah, we'll talk about the project. Great project. Yeah. Yes. So they use different technologies to get to the same destination, but at a high level, and I always like keeping it high level to make it explainable to others. At a high level, they're basically using information, because every game is about the frames, right? 30 frames per second. These are click, 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 every frame per second, right? 60 frames, 120 frames per second. They're using data from previous frames to insert data. Well, they're using data from previous one frame before and one frame after and filling in the gaps to create a frame in the middle. That's what they're doing, right? So presumably they are using that frame to then make it less weight on the GPU to run the game. So it's like it's still giving you the frames it's giving you, but it's interpreting so many frames in between successfully, if it does it successfully, that you get way more frames for the same hardware that you're using. That is frame generation. It's literally generating frames using data from the previous and the post.
Okay, right? So talk to me. I got two questions for you. So I guess did they take this idea from Xbox or no?
No, this idea is actually the same technology being used by DLSS. It's the same idea. They're interpreting frames, and the only difference is in the DLSS example, they have hardware that they dedicate for that purpose, right? But here's the kicker, though, right? Here's the interesting thing. If you do that, right, and your system isn't that performant anyway, that means the frames that are being generated that come in that are in between aren't really great. They themselves are like the product of compromised data, if you will. That's why you see in the FSR example, when they're in motion, it's very grainy, and you see, especially in the Immortals of Avium example, you see his arm moving and the gauntlet, and you see it's all like gets pixelated sometimes, because the technology used there is basically using the same resources that renders the game to also interpret the frames. Whereas in the DLSS example, it uses dedicated hardware to do that. So even though their example will also not be perfect, it never is, they can be far more successful at it than somebody that uses your existing hardware, right? But there will always be artifacts, right? And the fact that the fact that the artifacts are there is not necessarily even because of the hardware necessarily that it's using, but the technology they're using always produces artifacts. Both of them do. They use denoising programs all the time. DLSS has its variant. AMD, NVIDIA has its variants of denoisers, and so does AMD, right? But because the long and short of it is, because the hardware backing that AMD that NVIDIA did so long ago, they're able to always give you a more performant, it looks cleaner than AMD's variant, right? And I mean, I still stand behind AMD, because when they eventually get it right, it'll benefit everybody. Whereas when NVIDIA gets it right, that just means you have to go buy new hardware, right?
Exactly.
And that's just it's the Apple versus iPhone example, right? I have walked into an Apple store one day, right, with my old Nexus. I had a Nexus phone, like this is like years back, right? And Google always updates their software on their phone app, right? Whereas obviously Apple always updates their hardware, and then you buy the new hardware, right?
Right.
Years after they updated their hardware, I go into an Apple store with my Nexus phone. I take a picture of the same thing side by side, and the Nexus phone that was like years behind had better optics, or looked better than Apple's variant. Because anytime new hardware or new methods of software development or new optimizations come, Google will put it into the App Store or put it into that app, right? So if you just happen to have that app, they keep the same hardware reference design for years, and that hardware just gets better and better and better over time, because they keep finding new variant ways of making it better. Whereas the opposite model is, hey, we have this new thing, put it in the new hardware to get people to buy it. That's the AMD versus Intel variant right now. We'll see if it lasts forever, but for now, it looks like AMD has the people's people's business at heart because it's profitable for them to be.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me ask you this. I don't know why, but I'm pretty excited about it because again, I come from the mentality that this is going to work kind of like FPS boost, which is what I have experience with.
Yeah,
somewhat.
But remember, you're using the console parlance to make comparisons here, and in the console parlance, unless it's as perfect as it possibly can, it doesn't hit the street. There have been many instances where the console makers, and I think Jason Ronald has said so, the hardware guy at Xbox, that there are many versions of those games out there that you never get to play because it ran well, and then halfway in the middle of the game it lost something, and they can't bring it out that way, right? Whereas in this instance, when it comes out, it's up to you, the unwashed masses, to discover whether your game works or not. It may just go left,
dude.
But it's up to you to decide that.
I really never understood. I never really understood that because, like, let's say that a game came out during the 360 generation and it also came out in the PC generation, right? And I wasn't on PC back then, but were things kind of like hard locked maybe at 60, and that's why if you try to go above that, it messes up the game? That's what it is?
Absolutely. That's one of the main reasons. And it's not just that the game was hard locked at 60 or hard locked at 30. Components are locked at 30, certain components, right? So you're playing it, maybe most of it is based on the clock of the game, but then you have certain elements in it that are hard locked at 30. So the minute you change the clock to 60, the rest of it perform, and then components in the game will lose their minds because now they are not.
That's crazy. Okay, how spoiled are we? Like, especially me coming now into this generation on PC, how spoiled are we that, like, I started in a generation where, your average frames are over 100. Like, do you remember the days that if you could hit 30 on the PC, you were happy? Like, do you remember those days? Like, you as a PC gamer, or like when you could hit 60, you were satisfied?
PC has always given you that. The PC, the thing happened, like, you have always had more agency in PC. You have always had the capability to push it as far as you want to push it on PC, right? And the good thing about PC is they have not shot too far over their skis about it, right? There haven't been too many Star Citizens in the world, right? So even if you don't have the greatest hardware, you can always play the game because they know that, hey, we have to make sure that we build this for the masses, right? It's only now recently that NVIDIA kind of went, we have these whales who will pay $1,700 for a graphics card, right? And now you have developers that are kind of eyeballing a higher market. But even there, it's not smart to hit that higher market because at the end of the day, that's not 80% of your market share. That's not, the select few that will buy it that you'll be able to do it. Fantastic.
But if you had a PC back in the day that can run Crysis, because that was a thing back then that I remember I used to hear throughout, high school and whatever. Can it run Crysis?
The dirty secret about can it run Crysis though? It's because Crysis was terribly optimized, not because
but that's where I'm going, right? Like back then it was, can you run Crysis? So never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to be able to ever afford a PC that can run Crysis.
Toaster right now.
No, I know, and that's the crazy part. But what I mean by that, like if you were PC gaming that day, like, and you could hit Crysis at 30, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, I hit 26 FPS.
Okay, let me tell you this. During those days, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of the magic. That magic has died down. I see you in the chat there, Kirby Louise. I don't know if this was before or during your time, but there was a small window in the late 90s, early aughts. Well, okay, more early aughts than late 90s, where SLI was the big deal.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, well, more early aughts, where the idea was, one graphics card is amazing. Yeah, that graphics card is very performant, but it's very expensive.
Two graphics cards.
Or 4. Or let's see how far we can get with it. People went,
my God.
Okay. And let's be clear, the performance ratio wasn't one graphics card good, 2 graphics cards double the performance. Hell no, it was not that, right? But all of us fell hook, line, and sinker into the waters of stupidity in this instance.
Heck, so people were buying so there were people buying like 24090s thinking that you were gonna get like I don't know, that you were gonna get the most performance, like you were gonna outdo the Pentagon and stuff. Is that kind of like what was going on?
No, it was more about, it was an evolution of the voodoo cards and all that other crap that people used to be peddling. You know what I mean? But no, like there was a time where all that was really big, right? That's always been part of PC gaming parlance. So when
That's
folks are talking about, oh well, in my day, it's always been this way, right? It just this what you're seeing these days is the natural evolution of PC gamers wanting the best of the best of the best, and getting sweaty about it. It is what it is.
Okay. So that's pretty much so. Okay, do you think in your crystal ball? Give me a crystal ball prediction here. Do you think that this is going to be a big hit and a success for AMD? Do you think that this is going to go over real well with the masses, and it's going to fall into good graces, and it's going to work well? What do you think?
So, like, based on what I see from its performance right now, it's much of the same, right? It's not a game changer in the way where it's like, oh my God, they're so close to DLSS that doesn't matter anymore. It's better than it was, no doubt, but it still has a lot more growing to do, right? So it's still going, right? And you'll see some benefits. What I want to see, because you're like FPS boost, right? FPS boost happened because Microsoft went in the background and basically tweaked every virtual machine to perform better than it was before.
That's crazy.
So it seemed like overnight your stuff just increased, right? With this, specifically in the console space, it won't overnight make games more performant or better, specifically in the console space. The developers still need to unlock the game, tweak it, and lock it back up again and send it back out before you'll get it. How many of them will do that? Right? In the PC space, yes, there is far potential for more excitement there. But to me, what will make it even more exciting there is the fact that it will make your ROG allies more performant.
There you go.
Yep. That's where the excitement is for me. Like, because most of those handheld devices are on the cusp, right? Many of the games, they're so close to where they needed to be, right? And these technologies presumably will take it over the edge, right? That's why I sometimes like give some of these guys some crap, because it's like, come on, man, you should have had faster RAM, 75 mega transfers per second. What do you call it? ROG Ally. The more horsepower you throw at this, right, the more it'll be able to use the tools it has to make the frame generation and those upscalers work better, right? So any shortcuts they take in the hardware becomes detrimental later. But all in all, I'm super excited that this will kick some of those games that were on the cusp right into playable and maybe enjoyable territory. A lot will happen in that realm, right? And I'm excited about that. And of course, with these technologies available comes a bunch of mod support, a bunch of people looking around and and assisting in that, right? I'm playing right now using a mod. I think I've said that to you before, using a ROG Ally mod for my handheld. You set it to 800p, set Starfield to ultra, and it upscales, and you're playing it on the ROG screen, and it's amazing. Like,
that's incredible.
Full fidelity, right? And it's averaging 50, 60 frames per second, depending on the scene. So, there's a lot of work there. And I see you, sir. I see you, Kirby Zero Louise. I'm being derivative. I'm being high level, right? I know they didn't go in and tweak every single VM. And in certain instances, they had to. And even in those instances, it didn't work. I've spoken with Mr. Ronald on the back end a little bit. But I'm advocating for the day they write the book on their process.
That's going to be incredible. I mean, the fact that they did that, not only is that so pro-consumer, but it's just technical wizardry what they did, because no other company would have done that.
Is it pro-consumer? Sure. Is that why they did it? Probably not, because now they can sell you all those games even now, and you'll still buy them.
Of course, right? But it's still a pro-consumer move. Like, if you think about it, right?
Absolutely, no doubt.
What's up, Noof? Hope you're doing well, sir.
On, Noof? Yeah.
Good to see you. So last thing, so we could wrap up the AMD talk.
Sure.
I'm gonna throw you in the hot seat because I already know what's gonna be the first game that I try out with the frame generation stuff of my backlog. Okay.
Yep.
What game are you excited for to see how, maybe historically it didn't perform so good, and now you want to see how it'll perform after this update?
Believe it or not, and if you've noticed, most of the games that FSR3 is being pushed off on are newest games, right? Really, you're looking at Immortals of Avium, right? I have been excited because Immortals of Avium is unabashedly the first real Unreal Engine 5 game.
It looks good, dude.
AAA.
It looks good.
Balls to the wall, as it were. All the pixels are on the screen, right? And because of that, it's bringing consoles and graphics cards to their knees. That's what it's doing, right? A lot of the nanite and a lot of the technologies that Unreal has brought, Epic has brought to bear in Unreal, have not been integrated into consoles, have not been integrated into game engine, right? Into various engines. I hear that NVIDIA is working. Epic is working with Microsoft to integrate some of those technologies into DirectX, right? And when you do that, you'll get more optimization, you'll get more performance.
By the way, AMD also said that they're giving an option to Epic to just incorporate as part of their FSR 3.0. It's in their tool set. So developers, all they need to do is just click on it and go from there. Now, Kirby Louise would know.
Yes.
Yeah, he would know how easy or hard that is. So, but okay. So what's your game? Is it Immortals? Is that where you were going to go?
I'm thinking it's Immortals of Avium. Unfortunately, there's just too many games to play and not enough time in the day. And as such, I have not been able to even play that. Like Assassin's Creed Mirage is calling my name. As you see, I'm playing Phantom Liberty, and then an Andreja from Starfield, who I've committed to, keeps like bothering me in the back of my head, going, "I am committed to one person. Where are you for our next adventures?"
Isn't this an incredible problem to have, that we have so many games to play? This is unprecedented. All right, so so for me, Kay, it's gonna be Batman Arkham Knight, because historically we know that game on PC, not the best. Okay, it wasn't optimized the best through updates.
It's good now, though. It's really good now.
It's good, but still
amazingly now.
But not as good as it should. So I look forward to see.
So?
I played it here and there.
Build, sir, because I'm running that thing like smoking these days.
I don't know, man. There's some parts that it just drops,
there's a
man.
mod, by the way, inside that game, where at some point you can, like, you're basically grappling everywhere. You can make it so the grapple makes you just fly. You just fly.
That's pretty cool.
You're just flying through the map. I put that on all the time, and of course, when you do that, what it does is it makes the streaming of the even faster, because it never gives you a break to slow down. So if you have bad hardware, it'll bring it to its knees at that point. You should check it out. It's pretty cool.
Why are you messing with my build, man? Okay, it's not my build. It's Iron Galaxy and their whack development of PC. Iron Galaxy has a really bad reputation when it comes to the PC stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna check
the height of their slander. Absolutely. So these days they've done better. That was at the height of their woes. I hear you.
Yeah. So, all right, Kay, what's the next topic for us, brother? What you got?
So, okay, I wanted to chat a little bit with you because a lot of folks have been talking to me about the Quest 3, right? And we don't do too much VR talk on this show because we haven't really done too much VR talk. But even folks who are anti-VR are coming to me saying, "Hey, man, I've pre-ordered mine. Where's yours?" Right? Many people pre-ordered theirs before I pre-ordered mine because I was still waiting for information. I was still waiting for all this. I happened to be on vacation when it was announced, when it was shown off, right? So I didn't even get to see the live show, the live stream. I don't know. Have you seen anything about
what do you have hanging there,
sir?
What's going on here, sir?
Oh yeah, this is what's going down.
PG-13 show.
Well, there you go. He's got covered. See, nobody would have noticed until you said something.
Come on, man. You didn't tell me we were bringing hot dogs to this party, man, to this barbecue.
I don't know what happened. It's just like something happened in the game, and my outfits changed, and
what's going on here,
I was naked. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Oh man! All right. So
anyway,
so
before we got derailed with Sausage Party, have you seen anything about the Quest?
I have not. I have been completely in the dark when it comes to anything VR or Quest related for a while until a few almost 3 or 4 weeks ago now that a good community member reached out to me. They wanted to part ways with their PSVR 2. They I offered them a price that I was willing to pay, and they said yes, and we both helped each other out. So I am now the owner of the PS. Yep, I got it right here. As you can see, I even got a case for it and everything.
This man is about that VR life. Look at you. All right.
Hold on. No, the filter's not letting it go through, but I even got a case which J-Rock was calling it the coffin. Okay, he was calling it the PSVR 2 coffin on the show with One-Way Dragons.
You see what he's trying to do.
But I only really had a chance to play with the PSVR 2 on 2 separate occasions. The only game that I have tried out has been Gran Turismo, which it's pretty dude, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool.
Tell me your experience.
Threw me off right away was that when I first started playing the game, right, that I had turned it on, I was using the motion controllers and it wouldn't work. So I'm like, okay, did something get busted through shipping or something? And then the controllers were working fine through the menu and all that. So I'm like, no, that can't be it. So then I started looking at some videos, and you actually play the game. You don't use the motion controllers. You use a normal controller for Gran Turismo 7, which so that threw me off for like a good 15 minutes before I could actually play the game. Then I played it for 2 days in a row, dude. And I thought it was pretty cool. Now, I will tell you this. The first day, I did get queasy. And I started watching videos on it. And the thing that I kept on seeing is that they were harping on the fact that a lot of users don't know how to put on the headset correctly. And I think that that's what was wrong with me, because the PSVR 2 supposedly has what they call a sweet spot. And you need to put the headset directly on that sweet spot to keep from
the focal length. There's a specific length of a lens.
Something happened. I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No,
nothing at all.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can't hear me. I don't
know. Let me know in the chat if you can hear Kate, because I can't hear.
1, 2, 3. If you can hear me, 1, 2, 3. If you can hear me, I don't know.
Let's see here.
Should I bounce out and jump back in? Because I hear you just fine.
I lost you, man. I lost you.
Okay, let me bounce out and bounce back in. I'll be right back.
No, you're good. You're good. It was me.
You can hear me?
Yeah, it was me. Okay, I had clicked on something by mistake there. Okay, so it's me.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so so what I was saying was that sweet spot's really, really important when it comes to VR, any VR that you use. And I've done a lot of research on stuff to look. I'm super excited for it. I'm gonna buy myself Pavlov. I'm going to get myself a bunch of other games that I saw. The gentleman that sold me the PSVR 2 sent it to me with Horizon NyQuil edition, the rock climbing edition. I hope I don't fall asleep while rock climbing next to Aloy and fall to my death. Okay. But I'm excited about the VR space now. I really am. So let me talk to me about the MetaQuest.
Yeah. Let me share with you this. And this is, we'll skip through it because I didn't actually get a chance to watch this, right? I'm sure you've seen Oculus, what do you call it? Apple and their Vision Pro headset.
Yes.
You've seen the whole thing, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, so right off the bat, and I'm sorry to cut you off. So right off the bat, number one, why is it so expensive? And I know the answer, it's Apple. But what is it doing that the Quest and the PSVR 2 cannot do or do differently, or what's up?
Okay, it's exactly the conversation we were having before, right? Which is there are those who are making games for, like, they're making Star Citizen, right? That requires the fastest graphics cards to play, requires the fastest hardware from a storage perspective to even get anywhere done, right? That's Apple land in this world, right? In the world where the market has not been established, they're going balls to the wall, because right now, in order to get what we want, it's expensive. You want everything you're talking about, but in this form, just glasses like this form. In order for this to ever happen, there needs to be like in the car parlance, there needs to be a Model X Tesla, and then a Model S, and then a Model 3, right? The more they make, the more people buy, the less and cheaper it becomes. VR is still very much high level. Like my index is right there. Look at the little body right there. Cost me $1,000. The thing I paid for before my
Valve, right? And that's Valve.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Valve's one, yes. And every time they make it, they move technology forward. The Vision Pro is literally the culmination of everything and anything that human ingenuity can do at the highest price, at the highest clip in a VR space in a one headset. Right?
Okay.
And they're not the only ones that do it. They're not the most expensive headset out there. There are $8,000 VR headsets out there right now.
Wow, I didn't know that.
$10,000, $150,000 VR headsets out there right now. Why? Because those are the ones that they are used by car companies to model cars in VR, or use it for various things for combat, for soldiers. Like the industrial versions have such high optics and all of this, but they can't be for consumers because it costs too much right now, right? What Apple has attempted to do is hit their sweet spot, because their luxury brand, $2.5 or $3.5 grand for it, right? And basically what's happening here, as I scroll through this is Meta going, oh, you guys want AR, and Apple has shown off a lot of AR to you and impressed you, so let's show you what we can do with AR, but democratize it for the common man, right? So instead of a grainy pass-through, now you have normal pass-through, and you're literally playing a game on your table, and you can see it on the table. This was the vision with HoloLens way back in the day, where they were playing Minecraft on a table, right? The reason why I find this interesting, and I wanted to bring this to your attention, is I've always thought VR is the future. I've always thought VR was going to get there, and then it hit a snag. And I'm still a big VR proponent. I'm still down every time a new one comes out or whatever. I'm still want it, but I understand that they have to do some things different in order to capture the normals, right? And so far they haven't done it, right? I saw this and I was like, okay, right, it's a step forward, as all they keep doing, steps in the right direction. I didn't see anything overtly magical about this experience that would bring all the normals in, but I am getting such unusual levels of hype from normals that I'm surprised, and I want to know what the heck is going on here. Like, I went back and watched this video and I'm like, okay, but this is HoloLens. We saw this, your wall opening up and things coming out. We saw all this with HoloLens, right? We saw people building Minecraft worlds on a table, right? We've seen, and this is capture, by the way. You've done assisted capture, so you know what it looks like now, because you've done it with PSVR 2. This is them. You literally look around and it scans your environment. You don't have to manually do it. The old ones, you had to manually do it. Now it'll scan your environment and it'll just be there. And you can like put a TV in the corner of your room digitally, and it'll always be there, like monster TV, stuff like that, right? We've always been able to do that. This seems to have captured the hype train of the normals to an unbelievable degree. I hear people left and right, oh, mine's coming tomorrow. I'm just like, really? Like, I don't see what they did that's different than what they did before.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe it's the effect of Apple showing that big heavy one. So now people are like, hey, this is close enough.
Right? I think that it's a combination. I think it's a combination of things.
You get Game Pass inside, you can now, which, let's be honest, they say, oh, you get Game Pass. You always had a browser. You could always just go to xbox.com/play and it would always work. But now you get an actual dedicated Game Pass app.
Yeah.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that VR's a little bit complicated, because even though I've had the headset almost a month already, I haven't really, there's something always that it's pure laziness on my part, to be honest with you. And it's pure just what I'm used to, which is just gaming pancake mode, like Asa would say. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my type of gaming, and for the masses as well, where we don't want, I think the biggest thing that keeps VR from really taking off and from it becoming just hitting that next level is that you need to have something on in your face. You know what I'm saying? And even though that my time, my less than 10 hours with the PSVR 2 has been pretty good, and it's been pretty transformative, it's still
The
not.
barrier of entry is too much still.
Yeah, like look, don't get me wrong. If it wasn't for the price that I got it at, I would not have bought it. Like, because I was waiting for that thing to go on sale, and that's the most that what I paid for was the most that I was willing to pay for ever for that. Okay, now let me ask you something. I do know from family again, because my barrier has to be family and friends and those around me. I will say that the MetaQuest 2 did get a lot of people in my family and in my circle excited for
a
VR.
lot of people got into Quest 2. A lot of people got into Quest 2.
I bought one.
Came out of nowhere and owned the market overnight. A lot of people did. Absolutely.
The one game that got me, because this, and again,
Which got is what me gets everybody Beat Saber.
No, actually, not even. The game that got me is one of my favorite games of all time, Resident Evil 4. When they announced Resident Evil 4 was coming, they got my dollar. And when they announced that Resident Evil 4 was coming to the PSVR 2, they got my money again. Well, they didn't get my money, but this certain individual did. So it's
now is when I gotta put a pinky in the air and be snobbish, because Resident Evil was not a VR game, sir. It was a pancake game that they stretched and did the best they could with it. See what you're looking at right now? That is Assassin's Creed made for VR. That is a game that was built for VR from scratch. Not that
should be good
stretch stuff. Get out of here with all of that.
hey, by the way, you'll be proud of me. Hold on. Go ahead. Ask your question, and then I'll make my comment. You'll be proud of me. I actually downloaded a game from the Epic Games launcher the other day, from the Epic Games Store.
Ooh, he decided to try a new position, ladies and gentlemen. No longer missionary launcher status for this man. Nope. Okay.
And I got Solstice. They were giving it for free. Okay, so I picked that up. I also have Alan Wake 2 in my cart, ready to be checked out when the game comes out. Okay, and I was thinking of doing Witchfire. Still a little annoyed when I launch it and I had to play Solstice, and then I'm like,
pro tip, we are understanding. All of a sudden, we realize what's going on, which is, Mr. John Wolf can be annoyed, but his wallet is smarter than he is.
Of course.
Very good, sir.
Of course.
Very good.
And as you know, I've been kind of like on an Assassin's Creed kick here, and I have been using the Ubisoft launcher, which again makes me roll my eyes. I'm like, okay. And then we
can talk to you about how to get all these things to launch without launchers, so eventually they're not even in your equation. You could just they start and they run in the background.
I need to be there. I need to be there. I need to be in that world.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
About your VR-ness, right? Have you tried it for things except gaming? How is the entertainment factor? Mm-hmm. I haven't me, Mr. Big VR guy. If you look over here, I have 2 VR headsets, and over there, like, I have not tried the PSVR 2 because like you say, it's a very game focused device. And it seems like the games aren't really there yet, or the games that are there are also on my PC and they look better on PC. So why bother, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing that kind of got me over the hump to be able to got me over the hump to be able to use this far more, and this is my PSVR, my Quest 2 with the custom head strap. What makes me use this more often is because I love, say what you will, I love VR games. I mean, 3D movies. Right? I love 3D movies. Right? If you're watching an awesome movie, there's no way to really watch a great 3D movie anymore. Right? If you are one of those holdouts that has a 3D TV, good for you. The optics aren't that great, right? And you're wearing glasses on your face, which is uncomfortable. Whereas if you're wearing this, you're already wearing something on your face, and you are at the theater or wherever you choose to be on the freaking moon. And the 3D is really in your face, right? There's content online, documentaries and things online where it's either 120 degrees or 360 degrees when you're just in the world. Meta has done a really great job where they have a thing called Quest TV, where it's older content, right? And then they also have like independent developers and content creators also create specialty content for it. But you can watch movies, and like, I saw this documentary about my home country of Ghana, Somebody,
nice.
a developer, a content creator was given some money probably from Meta to go to Ghana, put up a 3D camera and create 3D images and talk about bringing the country. Like anybody can do that and watch it for free in their system, right? I found that where it lacks in its games, and I agree, it lacks in its games, right? Still to this day, that's why I'm still tethered to my PC, because that's what matters. And that's why I will always advocate for this guy, because it can always tether to a PC.
The Quest 2, the Quest, I haven't tried it out for 3D movies and stuff like that, which I mean, I hope that the PSVR 2 can do that stuff.
It should be able to do it too. It should be able to do it, yes.
The thing that like I didn't like about the Quest 2 when I owned it, I found the games to be very grainy. Like, and then it was causing like this, I don't know, disorientation. I don't know. I don't know if I have like a VR thing that I'm not putting on the headset right, or it's just not my thing.
For the Quest 2 or for the PSVR as well?
Well, for the Quest 2, the graininess kind of got me dizzy, and after a while, I had to just take it off, and it's kind of off-putting feeling that way. And for the PSVR 2 on the first day that I played, I felt queasy after a few hours.
Yep.
So
they call that VR legs. You got to get your VR legs. The more you play, and when you start, and this is a pro tip for everybody, if you want to get into VR, when you start, 15-minute experiences. Oculus Quest was very good about that. They had systems that showed you, oh, this is a soft, comfortable experience. This is a medium experience. This is an intense experience. Low, medium, high. Choose the small experiences. When you start, huge pro tip, no roller coaster videos. You will hurl your guts out immediately. Okay. And oh, by the way, VR sickness is not one of those situations where it comes and it goes the minute you stop using it. No, you will be queasy for at least 2-3 hours if you get queasy, right? So, that all that leads to people getting bad experiences from jump and then never trying it again. So if you're going to give a pro tip, if you really want to know VR's for you, first off, find someone who's got the best experience possible. No phones in a freaking box on your face.
What about Labo? Mr. Joanna Dark, he wants me to get Labo.
The worst idea ever, right?
Sure?
The worst. You need that's why I'm always advocating for a PC experience, because that's where you have like 3080 cards dedicated, 40 cards, you have VR graphics, compute dedicated to just showing you what's on your screen, right? If you do anything other than that, and the PSVR 2 is also a very good experience, more than the PSVR 1, I'll say, right? It's has far more like computational like stuff in the tank. So presumably it'll keep you at that high 80 plus frames per second per eye. If you don't get that, Gear VR, like, I see you, Live Supremacy. If you had Gear VR as your very first experience, I am sorry, because you got the worst experience ever, and it probably made you hurl, and that's why you think VR is crap, right? It's unfortunate that VR specifically is a you get what you pay for scenario. You have to have the best compute and the best optics to get the benefit out of it. Right?
Look at Mr. Joanna Dark with Mario Kart VR on Labo. Come on, man. We're talking about VR here.
What I will say to you, Mr. John Wolf, is do not hate on this guy, because where he started with, and that's where, and you'll say what you will about the robot that is Zuck, because look, he's proving he was a child at one before. Even though I suspect that was just a child robot, they tried it out, but that's neither here nor there.
I always thought he was AI, man. He
was built. Yeah. He was built. Like the one bit of credit you'll give him is when they started with the reference design, much like Android, they just keep the reference design and then they iterate on the software. So the stuff that used to happen when you first got the Quest, it's so much further now, right? It started at 72 frames per second. Now it goes to 120. Same device, same hardware, right? They made the lenses better through software. They've done so much to increase the experience through software, right? So that you need to give credit for. I will real quick. Ty was asking about the 3D movie thing. This great. He's asking, is the 3D screen, or are you actually there? You can do both, right? Depending on the movie. If it's a movie like a standard film you'd watch at an IMAX, you can literally just put your screen on, and it's like, it will give you IMAX projection without anything extra. So the VR, the glasses will give you, what do they call it, stereoscopic feature. So when it's beaming to your eye, you have to find the sweet spot, but then you see it in 3D and it's like everywhere.
Oh, dude, I gotta watch
standard
Transformers Beast Wars
exactly.
on that thing.
Exactly. My favorite is oh my god, now I have to look up the movie because I will drive myself nuts if I don't find that movie.
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim is also fun. I've watched Pacific Rim a lot, but I literally have a collection of movies that I watch in 3D on my home server, and Alita Battle Angel is my number one.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Love that. I have watched that movie countless times.
But her eyes are kind of weird, but it was a good.
In 3D, it's like awesome. The whole thing is just awesome, right?
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. In addition to that, they have the 360 cameras. That's where you feel like you're literally there, right? They'll take you on and they usually do it in documentaries so far, but you're sitting there and everywhere you look, you're looking at more of that world. And if you choose the right vendor, it's like 8K. So it's really, really high rendered and you can see every detail. It's really cool. Like, I will just say unique in this entertainment kind of fills in some of the gaps that some of the gaming misses. And then you can use the same thing for PC VR and then you can get your gaming on. So that's why I still advocate for the Quest.
I got two things. So the first thing is a joke, but I kind of mean it, but it's a joke.
Okay.
I think that for VR to take off, hear me out. We're not going to get into the details here. I think that the adult industry needs to latch itself on a little bit more. and I'm being honest because think about what it did for VHS. Okay.
So
think about
while you're joking, VHS. And I know you're joking, let the record show the man, although he's being his normal Latino heat self right now. Let the record show that with every adoption of every major format, right? That being VHS, that being DVD, that being Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Why did that happen? The people who like to, show some money shots on TV on the screen, they opted to choose which one, and because of that, the masses went that way. So I hear you when you say that, and I will also say, for those mature individuals among you who feel the need to go there, there are places where you can make use of these things. I rather feel very, very odd when I find myself in those places, so I reverse course immediately because damn, it's so strange. But if you're into that, there are. I mean,
aren't the PlayStation gamers number one when it comes to hours spent on those websites? So I'm sure that PSVR 2 is gonna get them the undisputed championship.
You report back to us. I'm sure you're gonna want to test that out. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
And yes, Grumpy Shaman, absolutely true. Dread 3D, one of the best 3D games, 3D movies. Watch it in any VR headset. Wow, amazing experience. Experience.
Don't visit one of those websites if you have to do one of these.
So I guess the pro tip that I will give people.
Hold on. We got one more thing about the Meta Quest 3. Okay, so talk to me about the specs as far as how does this thing compare to even the PSVR 2? Are we talking about that this is weaker, just the same, or more powerful hardware?
Well, I mean, so okay, from an optics perspective, and actually, you know what? Let me get you while we talk. Let me get you a better representation of what I'm talking about here. From an optics perspective, it's apples and oranges to compare the two, right? Okay. Because one can live on its own and the other one cannot, right? PSVR 2 is a paperweight without a PlayStation 5, whereas a Quest 3 is a capable store having, ecosystem on its own, that you can then attach a PC to, and then it changes the equation even further, right? So in that respect, it's an apples to oranges comparison, but by and large, there are some places, as I've seen it, hold on, let me find it here. There are some places where the PSVR still has a leg up, right? optics, what do you call it? HDR, right? It still boasts like the device, the PSVR 2 is still a device that has what do you call it? HDR, which is unique in the VR space. Most VR headsets do not have optics like that, right? Hold on. Yeah. But the resolution is a little bit better on the on the Quest, right? The PSVR can do foveated rendering and what do you call it? Lens. I forget it. Eye tracking, right? The PSVR, the Quest 3 does foveated rendering, but does not do eye tracking, right? And because of that, there are pluses and minuses there. Ideally, you'd want both, because when you do eye tracking and foveated rendering, that means it focuses on where the eye is looking at, and where it's looking at is where the render is best, right? When you don't have eye tracking, then it's like it'll presume to know where you're looking, and it'll make that best. But PSVR's version is far stronger, right? So here's the spec for spec in it. Obviously, PSVR still uses an OLED, which is pretty cool, right? They say rumored, but it ended up being true. This has a little bit more higher resolution, the Quest 3, than the PSVR 2 does. They both do 120 hertz, but the PSVR, the Quest 3 gives you more options there. You can go lower or higher, helps your battery life. This one is what it is, and that's it, right? Backward compatible, of course. This one's not, which is a bit of an issue, right? The reason why this is also a bit of an unfair comparison in price is this is $500 out the door. You're done. This is $550 before the hardware to run it.
Yeah, you need a PS5 or else it's a paperweight.
Exactly. And then the fact that I think what excites the normals is full color pass through, which means you can walk around with this thing and it sees your normal world, and you can just walk around and see things and put things in your world while people see you and you can see them, much like the Vision Pro. Right?
Oh, so it's not black and white anymore like it used to be.
It's not. It's full color pass through. They're doing more AR stuff with it, which is augmented reality rather than VR, which is virtual reality, which covers all your vision. This does both now, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it won't be as good as the Vision Pro because the Vision Pro is throwing so much at it that you'll get more fidelity. But by and large, this one's doing it to the point where it looks like it's enough for most people, right? And then as far as how good will it look? That depends on what you throw at it. If you're talking only mobile games, obviously the PSVR 2 will look better. It just will, right? But if you plug this thing into your PC, and now all of a sudden you're off to the races, you got a 4090, you're blowing everybody away. That's just how it works. So
okay,
that's what it looks like right now.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like it's pretty comparable for the price. The advantage though is that obviously for $500 less, you can use this thing as a device, where the PSVR 2 is 100% dependent on the PS5, and you have to be plugged in.
PS5, this guy's, you can take it out. You can still get your and look at the hardware differences. It's even a little heavier than the first one, but it's thinner, and it's thinner looking than the first one. They have pancake lenses, which make it very thin. It comes with a library. It's not the greatest library on earth, but it's still your library that you have from Quest 2. You can carry over to Quest 3, right?
Right.
So there are a lot of benefits here. So I do think it's cool. I just find it interesting that so many people seem to be on board day one, way more than I thought when I first saw it.
That's interesting. I guess since I haven't been paying attention to Twitter or anything in the last couple of weeks, I haven't really noticed, because I didn't even so this thing launches.
I'm the VR guy, so they're so as soon as they're getting it, like my inbox was flooded with, bro, you getting yours? I'm just like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing like that,
So let me ask you this: if you're in the market for a VR headset right now and you own a PS5, would you get the PSVR 2, or would you still go for the Oculus Quest 3 if you had the $500 to spend right now?
I mean, I have a PS5, and I have I tried I call them first gen headsets, right? I have the PSVR 1 right here, right? And the PSV and then the Oculus and the OG Oculus, and then I got the Quest 2.
Astrobot was pretty cool on that thing.
Astrobot, amazing, right?
It was pretty cool. And the shark game too, the one that the shark attacked the cage or whatever.
So much so, my question is, where is Astrobot for PSVR 2, right?
I have no idea. It's a wasted opportunity.
Yes.
So that's Jim Ryan. Jim,
so for me, today, if you ask me, you have a PS5, which one is the one you want? It depends on who you are. If you are a diehard PlayStation guy, get the PSVR 2. You'll have a good time. It's fine, right? But if you want to play PSVR games, if you want to play VR games in general, I still advocate for either a Quest 2 or a Quest 3. Quest 2 will still be around for a while, right? I still advocate for that. Why? Because as being said in the chat, far less restrictive. You can go in many directions that you want with it. The moment that we hear that PSVR 2 is now PC compatible, that changes the equation. I will be excited to buy one, right? But it's too restrictive, and their ecosystem that has not released enough interesting experiences for me to want to jump in, right? I will wait for you to report back to me how it does in the entertainment front, right? And even there, I'm a bit dubious because I have a full library of movies and stuff that I like to watch, and I can do that at home through my PC VR setup. Will PSVR 2 make me buy all my stuff, or will I be able to still stream it from my home network? Who knows?
Don't they have that Bravia thing coming out soon? Do you think that's gonna have any integration? That'll be cool.
Who knows? Will that have VR capable 3D movies, or will it all be pancake movies? Who knows, right? We shall see. We shall see. But it's exciting time that they're at least trying. I think it's awesome that they are trying.
So let me ask you this last question. Mm-hmm. You get this thing when? This week? You get it this week?
Actually, believe it or not, I got the confirmation that it will be in my home tomorrow. So tomorrow, cool. I'll be handing this. Well, much later, I'll be handing this to my nieces, my nephews.
Oh, they're gonna love that.
They'll be kicking butt with this, and then I will upgrade to the new one. One thing I'm sad about: all your old custom headsets not compatible with the new one, by and large. So you're gonna have to go get all that again, which
new earphones and stuff like that. I got you. Yeah. Okay,
and I mean, I got the whole setup. I got the extra battery, the whole thing. This thing is great. I use it to work out, the whole thing. So I'm gonna have to reinvest. It is what it is.
Tay's asking us a good question here. Do you envision Xbox working with Oculus to bring its IPs to VR, Halo VR, Grounded VR?
My dream, Ty, the thing I think would be VR savior is not a game, an IP for Game Pass that goes, an IP from Xbox that goes in there, right? That could be cool. I'm hoping they do stuff like that, right? So far, they haven't been great in that area, right? The minute that a company that used to be VR friendly joins Xbox, they're not so VR friendly anymore, right? I'm talking about Bethesda. I'm talking about Ninja Theory. They all used to release VR versions and they haven't done so. What do you call it? Why have you not allowed a VR version, VR capable Motorsport or Forza 5? It's just there for you. You could have released it on PC and shut up all the naysayers about how GT is great. Because if you're playing Forza in VR, it would kill all naysayers. But okay, you can even do that in 3D in the modding space. People have modded it in, but no official support. So we shall see.
Have you ever played? Have you ever gone to Dave and Buster's and you played that Halo Spartan Assault?
I played the Spartan Assault. Yeah, absolutely.
It's an easy win.
You can play all your Halos right now in VR with mod support. You can do that. It's cool. Not great. Well, it is great, but you have to have your VR legs. If you don't, you're gonna hurt. Oh, you just are. But I have VR legs, so I've been able to play it. It's good. I wouldn't recommend it for you if you're early on. But my dream, to answer Ty's question directly, my dream is a Game Pass service, right? That then puts the games, 3 actual VR games, streamed to your device. So instead of a screen that you can play it on, or a flat thing that you can do it, sure. No. Put it in let me pay my subscription service. And much like how I play for Starfield, I pay for Starfield and it shows up and I'm playing on my screen. Let me pay my subscription service. And then when the new game comes out, I hit a button and I'm in that world, not just watching it on the screen, right? That's where it would succeed. Then you don't have to worry about what hardware you have on here. Because then it's the only hardware there is about how fast your internet is streaming.
I agree. I agree. I think that if PlayStation was to leverage, and I mean, Black Ronin's not wrong. I mean, it is kind of niche, but it's moving. I mean, when you have Facebook backing it and PlayStation, you know, they're trying the best that they can to.
It is literally us watching us horse and buggy dudes watching the space race show up, and we're like, it ain't gonna get nowhere. Keep watching.
It's not on life support. That's for sure. How many
horse and buggies are around?
Yeah, it's definitely not on life support. I wouldn't go that far. Is it kind of not gaining the traction I think they would like? I would say yeah, but I don't think it's on life support either. But I will tell you,
the reason why it's not gaining traction the way they'd like is because they're focused first on money.
Right.
And you need to get it to a certain place first before you can start demanding money. Right. Just like Game Pass, right? We talk about Game Pass. They get you to a place where it's undeniable. Then they go, we need more bucks from you, right? A lot of these VR heads, a lot of these companies keep going, we need more bucks for you before they figure out actually how those great VR games look. That's why nobody wants to buy in, right?
How
you get it to a place where people are loving it, then you ask for more money.
How are they not? How are they not releasing VR titles monthly on the PlayStation Plus subscription stuff, man? I mean, it's such a wasted opportunity. You know,
well, that means you'd have to have the content to release the content. And remember, PlayStation did not invest in back compat. They could have. People say, it can't do it. Yes, it can. If you invest in a translation layer or something, right? You have to invest in it. And they didn't. And because of that, they don't have a good enough library. You can't dig into the back compat and give people back compat games.
Yeah, I mean, they can do current stuff that they are releasing, but it would just be like one a month, you know. And I would be okay with that. I would.
Well, my question to you is, do you see PSVR 2 release a game a month? No.
I'm talking about. Yeah, no. It has to be the whole catalog that they have. They run out
real quick. Right?
Yeah.
If you are in a world where there's a lot of games coming and there's a huge library, then you can offer past games. If they were in a world where they had back compat going, they could offer PSVR 1 games to PSVR 2 customers, but they didn't get back compat. Right.
Let me ask you this:
the list of games they're launching aren't that fast and furious. So if you start offering people those games, you'll run out of the library before any new games show up.
That's a good point. So let me ask you this. I got myself a gun stock. You know what that is? You know the little gun attachment.
You can walk around.
Yeah. I got myself one of those for Pavlov. I'm really excited. It looks like it's literally Call of Duty in VR, which Call of Duty. I'm a huge Call of Duty head.
Hunt down the man, Gerald Mack. He's all about that VR first-person shooter. You know, there are games that he plays where there are mods that make you look like Master Chief, and the whole world is a Spartan world. Like he and I played a little bit.
That's
real cool. He'll help you with your sea legs on that. He's real good at those games. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. My lazy butt, I know after a while I'm gonna get tired of standing up and the whole shooting thing. That's the thing that I kind of got to get used to. But I look forward to it. I think that now that you're gonna get the Quest 3, I got the PSVR 2 on my side. I think that we should start diving in these waters a little bit more. It'll give us reasons to use these devices, and we can come on the Gamers Playground and talk to the good folks about it.
I completely agree. Absolutely. I wasn't as excited before. I was still on the wait and see train, but people got me on board. People were like, "Hey, man, the
FOMO starting to hit you."
Well, it's not even the FOMO. I was ready to buy a next gen headset. I was waiting for offerings that made it enticing, right? So that's why I've been waiting for PSVR 2 to convince me, and unfortunately, PSVR 2 didn't do it. What convinced me? Quest did.
That's a great question. That's a great question by Grumpy. How come House of the Dead Remastered is not on Quest 2? Exactly. Missed opportunity right there. And you want to know which one's even better? Remember the Wii one, the Pulp Fiction-y? Oh my God, I love that game, dude.
I would be surprised if you don't find that in the modding community. Maybe we should start looking into, because there are lots of those. There are those that are unofficial, right? You can play Half-Life 2 in VR right now on the Quest, because they slip in, and then you're able to mod it into the copy you have. So there may be variants. I know OG Doom is in VR that you can do. Lots of these weird offshoots that they've been able to do.
I think Doom 3 also. the BFG edition or whatever.
BFG edition, yeah, absolutely. Which is what big freaking gun or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
A little bit. Well, that came out earlier in the episode when you were changing your character.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great time chatting VR and chatting PC games with you guys. With you, Mr. John Wolf, it's been a great time. We're back here doing it. We're gonna be more consistent. We're gonna be out there, do more shows. We have interesting ideas. Actually, before we go, while we are at the end of the episode, why don't you tell the fine folks where they can find you? And before that, tell them the interesting project that you're going to be working on that you and I will most likely be tag teaming on and working on together. Pause. Continue.
Pause. So yeah. So I don't know why, like this past couple of weeks, I've had just this thing to go back to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and because I never completed that game, and I don't know why. Now I have I've made it kind of like a goal before the end of the year to go and complete all of the Assassin's Creed games. And I've kind of made a chronological order of them. And like I was telling you earlier today, when we were talking on the phone, I've really fallen down the rabbit hole here of just, it's helped me look up historical events because I kind of like want to line things up. I have a whole notebook dedicated to it, which is over there. I wish I had it here to show it off, but I have like the characters that appear in the game and stuff like that. And it's become kind of like a history lesson type refresher for myself where I'm really finding myself to enjoy it. And that started up a conversation with me and you that the last Assassin's Creed game that I completed 100% through was Assassin's Creed 3, the one with Connor. Okay. I thought it was Brotherhood, but then I remembered that it was 3 because I remembered I played through all of 3. Then I completely fell off the franchise. Like I still bought them and I still played them, but I never completed them. And then once I saw that Odyssey was just such an investment that you had to make with time and stuff, I was I don't know about this and Odyssey. I mean,
did you play Origins?
I did play Origins. I played them all, but I have not completed.
But you didn't beat it.
One.
Okay.
Right. I haven't completed one since 3. So me and you, we talked. Very excited. Me and you are kind of like on the same, history kick, and we are history buffs. And we're thinking of maybe as we go through the Assassin's Creed games that we can revisit them and we can have a show and talk about the setting, the gameplay, the graphics, see kind of like where it leads to, and just the universe, because Ubisoft, like in our opinion, because we already talked about this, is kind of underrated, man, when it comes to the Assassin's Creed franchise. And it really gets the sales. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the highest selling franchises out there, but at the same time, it has a knock to it that I think that over time people have just kind of gotten sour to it. But what they do is so cool with the representation of the places that they go to, the history setting and stuff like that. And I think they do a better job than anybody else in the industry when it comes to that. So,
I completely agree with you. The number one way I always describe the reason why I'm a big fan of Ubisoft games and the Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed in general is any game, like pick any Assassin's Creed and you can literally use that to defend those who don't believe that gaming is fundamental and is real and it's valuable. Pick any Assassin's Creed game, strip away the gamification, strip away the assassins, strip away all of that. And what do you have? You have a history lesson, right? And actually they took it all the way there. You can literally play Origins, you can play Odyssey and strip away. There's a mode where it'll just walk through and tell you how the Egyptians got through their day, what they did, how they built their pyramids, and they show you in actual factual like accurate detail, right? I was saying to you, there was the version of Assassin's Creed where they were in ancient long ago France, and they did such a good job representing all the buildings and everything that was there that there was a fire years after that game was made, and they actually asked Ubisoft to borrow their schematics of the game in order to rebuild the real building.
I didn't know that. That was pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Freaking great, right? So I agree with you that these guys, they go to crazy extent to get their vision. And yeah, they get the game on top, and some people like it, some people don't. But I always want to represent them, and I want them to be around, because at the end of the day, they are the people they are the games you can point to and say, oh, you don't think games are useful? Look at this. And they will, every time you'll be blown away at the level of detail. Like Ty said, look at Assassin's Creed Origins. It's the game that shows you how Egypt was, like in stark, accurate. I was blown away. I spent hundreds of hours just going, this is how they live their life every day. Like, wow, like crazy. No, and it's all accurate. You know?
And I find myself like going through the world of Odyssey again. You know, this time I the first time I played it, I picked the dude. He's not as good as Cassandra. Cassandra is way
Cassandra's
better.
Awesome.
Cassandra's awesome. She's way better.
I played only with Cassandra the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys start on Odyssey or already did, you know, you start with Cassandra because she's pretty cool. So I've been playing that. I'm gonna beat it through completion, then jump onto Origins, and like I said, I have a chronological order. Check this out. That is pretty cool. That I didn't know this. The last Assassin's Creed game in the chronological order is the Chronicles game Russia, and it's in 1918. Okay, so what's cool about that is that I had no idea that they haven't even touched the 30s, the 40s.
No,
you know, all of these interesting time periods. They have so much material that they can still cover, that it's incredible. And that's why this franchise it'll never go away. 100%.
Yep. So, and that's why I advocate for let's protect Ubisoft. Let's keep them around, right?
Yeah.
Let's protect Ubisoft. But no, it's been a great chat, having a great chat with you. I will be on your train. You know, we're gonna start the chronological. We'll talk about it. It may not be on the Gamers Playground. We may do a specialty episode for it, but keep an eye on the feed. You know, chances are we'll talk about it, and we'll chop it up and get real deep into one of these games in the coming future. But Mr. John Wolf, I appreciate you podcasting with me as you do. It has been a great time. You know, I'm sure the fine people can find you being slanderous on the x.com. Anywhere else they can find you, sir?
Yeah, you know, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, I guess you can say Epic Games now. Epic Games, you can find me there. I set up my profile and everything, so all the launchers on PC, all that good stuff. Guys, again, I really miss being on the show with UK for the last 2 weeks. I feel like if you know we haven't talked in almost a month, man. So it was good hearing your voice today, and just chopping it up, man, and talking about, you know, the gaming, which is something that me and you are so passionate about. Besides our family, it's probably our number one thing. So definitely look forward to next week's show. We're gonna have so much content, guys, for you guys. We've got VR stuff coming up, more PC talk, of course, the Assassin's Creed thing eventually. I would like us to have kind of like a AC rundown of our top, you know, from one through the last one, to which one
after we played them, which ones are our favorites.
Yeah. Well, we can maybe have a top 10 or something like that. So
and by the way, next week, if and when the VR headsets are upon us, and also of course next week Monday will be after Friday the 13th, which might be a time after certain conversations of Activision Blizzard things are talked about. We'll have our headsets. We may have a special guest that will join us that would want to talk about both the VR headset and also the ABK stuff. So
nice.
We'll see if this person
that is awesome. That's awesome. So let me just say this one last thing. You introduced me to Bing AI today. I think that was a huge mistake because now I am using that as like the trolling fuel. I did Jason in Friday the 13th in Call of Duty because, you know, Friday is Friday the 13th and the ABK deal is closing. So I used that to troll a little bit today. I see Everborn is using the it was Slow-Mo is using it to taunt Mario, you know, slapping Sonic. Dude, we're having so much fun with that. Check out my Twitter. I created a bunch of stuff. I actually tweeted Pete Hines, the double agent, and Phil Spencer, AI generated picture of Master Chief and Doom Guy back to back, and I'm asking them, where is our Doom Halo crossover game? Come on, guys,
that's a good one.
We need it.
Now, before we go, I will advocate one thing though, right? We're having fun with this AI stuff. This stuff has been around for a while. The reason why people have not lost their minds about it is because until now, no one has been allowed to do copyrighted IP. Microsoft went, you want to put Mario versus Sonic? Go for it. It might not last. Enjoy it while it lasts.
If you check out my Twitter X feed, you'll see maybe Kratos playing Game Pass. I don't know. Okay.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great time. We had a great time. We're about 2 hours, so I think this is probably about time to end it here.
For sure.
Until next week, you'll catch me this Wednesday, GCP as we do, not GCP, but PTG, Primetime Gaming, Mr. Boomstick Excel's channel, and of course GCP this Saturday coming up, which should be interesting because maybe ABK's done and we'll be
hopefully
doing some slanderous stuff. Yeah, hopefully. But until then, it's been great chatting with you. Let's play some more games. We'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.